Welcome back to part two. My name is Akila Connor. I can see, hear, perceive, channel into the spiritual realm. And this is part two of my experience in Egypt. Now, if you haven't seen part one, I highly suggest you go and see. There are lots of little nuggets in there for those of you who plan to visit Egypt in the future. Lots of little tips and recommendations that I think would be very helpful for you. Now, for part two, and this is the part that's going to draw very specific women to it, because part two is about feminine activation and the reclaiming of feminine wisdom and power. And here is the story of what that's all about and why you're here watching this. So my trip to Egypt, I told you all about the visiting of the temples and the visiting of the tombs part. I'm going to rewind a bit to show you the journey of how we're going to get to the feminine activation and the message that's in there for the women out there who are actively pursuing the spiritual path. Before I even landed in Egypt, there was a theme that started to form for me. And this theme was very important in understanding what my purpose on earth is and what the purpose of many very spiritual women on this planet is right now. And I'll start with this instance. So I flew from Bali to, it was in Dubai. I flew from Bali to Doha to Egypt. Now, I didn't even land in Egypt, and I had an experience in the plane, an experience where the masculine was mistreating the feminine. And this theme of toxic masculine energy stepping on feminine energy literally rolled throughout my experience in Egypt. Spirit wanted to make it very clear. The goddess consciousness wanted to make it very clear, wanted to show me clearly the imbalance. And show me in a way, because I've seen it all before. If you're a woman living in this world, you've seen the mistreatment of women everywhere. You've seen the imbalance in the workforce. You've seen the imbalance in organized religion. You see the examples in relationships and how men treat women in relationships. You see it everywhere reflected. Toxic masculinity stepping on feminine energy. Toxic masculinity not respecting feminine energy. And feminine energy just being devalued, being disrespected, feminine wisdom not being acknowledged, feminine wisdom being put down, not only by men, but by brainwashed women who have also bought into this idea that somehow men are more wise, somehow men are more fit for leadership, somehow men are more fit to be holding positions that are closer to God. Somehow men are up here and women are down here. The goddesses, God, spirit, everything wanted to show me in a visceral way where I could feel it and not ignore it. And so in the plane on the way from Doha to Egypt, it was mid-flight. I feel like that flight was maybe 7 hours. I can't really remember, but it was a long haul flight. And so I think we were right at the middle. Some people were sleeping. If you weren't sleeping, you were dozing off. You know, quiet. Everyone's kind of engrossed in their own thing. Behind me was an elderly couple. I mean, your grandma, your grandpa, elderly couple. And we were all shaken awake, frightened out of whatever zones we are by this man yelling at this woman. They were sitting side by side. They were right behind me, so I turned around and I could look through my seat to see what was happening. This man had his face up to the woman's ear, and yelling. They were yelling in another language, so I don't know what he was saying, but the vitriol in his voice as he yelled at his wife, the hatred. If I didn't see the people, or if I wasn't in an airplane, it sounded like you would think it was somebody on the street yelling up to their worst enemy, ready to kill them. That's how much hate was in his voice. And he was yelling at this lady. The whole plane went, and everyone turned around looking. And I feel like after a couple seconds, he like caught himself and realized, oh shit, I'm in a plane with other people. And then he just stopped talking. But it was so loud. It was so aggressive. It was so filled with hatred. I was shook. Everyone in the plane was like shook and looking around. And in a few minutes, you started to hear the lady crying, the older lady crying. She started to cry. She started cry. At first soft, but then it just got louder, and she was crying and she was crying and she was crying. And I'm sitting there thinking, if this man could not find it in himself to control himself in public, in close quarters on a plane, how is he treating this woman in private? It was such a shocking display of masculine rage. And that was the first instance on this. I haven't even started the Egypt trip. I haven't even landed. And I sat there and I thought about it, and I felt so sad for this woman. And my heart started to hurt for this woman and all the women out there who live life like this, whose every day is this. I felt the pain. Instance number one. The rest of the flight went off without any more disturbances. Landed in Egypt. I was in the line waiting for the visa on arrival. Behind me was a younger couple this time. And guys, I still haven't started my retreat. I just landed in Egypt. I heard them talking. The girl was saying to the guy, oh, my sister's coming in a few days. I want to make sure someone's here with her name on a card, so she doesn't have to try and figure out how to get home. Like, my parents would kill me if my little sister had to figure out how to get home. So I really want someone to be here. Yo, this guy turned to her and yelled at her. What is wrong with you? You're so stupid. I told you I would handle it. Why the F are you bringing this up? Why the He went off. He went off. What is wrong with you? I don't know why I put up with you. The is wrong with you? La, 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 la. And then he started to get really loud. And so I'm in a foreign country where they don't respect women, where women are seen as less. I gotta be careful. At this point, I'm traveling alone. There was nobody with me. I hadn't met up with my friends or anything. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, I gotta be careful here, but I also cannot ignore what's happening. So I turned around and I looked at him like, and then he started to simmer down. And then when I turned back around, you could hear him. He was like, kind of like the volume was down, but he was still berating her. I don't know what the is wrong with you. You know what? Do not effing speak. You're so stupid. Like, there was no undercover, like, backhanded kind of comments to degrade her. He was full on berating her. He was full on degrading her. He was full on yelling, calling her out of her name, cursing at her, telling her how stupid she was, how dumb she was, this and that. And he ended that conversation or that yelling session by saying, do not effing speak. That's how he ended that conversation. And I stood there thinking to myself, what the F? Just now in the plane, I had that instance with that man yelling at his wife, that older couple. Now here is a younger couple with this man completely degrading this woman, telling her how useless she is, how stupid she is, how this. Again, in a line. There are people behind him, there are people in front of him. He did not care. And I stood there and I was like, I felt anger building up in me. Because one, how dare he? Number two, how dare he feel so comfortable to do this out in public? Like you could see he had no care, he had no remorse, he had nothing about him. There was nothing in him that felt like it was inappropriate to speak to this woman like that in public. I was so upset. Instant number two of the masculine disrespecting the feminine, of the masculine stepping on the feminine. I said, that is quite a coincidence. At this point, I didn't realize what Spirit was trying to show me. I was like, that's quite a coincidence. So I kind of just reflected on that energy. I felt the pain again of the women who suffer from the egos of these toxic men. I said, wow, I haven't even gotten out of the airport. First time I was like, damn, I haven't even landed in the country. Then I was in the airport, then I was like, damn, I haven't even gotten out of the airport. Cool. Went on with my retreat that I mentioned in the first part. This instance, I'm not gonna go into in detail, but another issue happened on the retreat with people that I know. An instance of the masculine being disrespectful to the feminine in a big way, in an obvious way. And this was happening between people I know, love, and respect. And again, I'm not gonna go into the details, but it was the third instance of men not valuing women, men thinking they're above women, men thinking they're the only type of leadership around and women should listen, fall, and be subjugated by their toxic leadership. And I want to make a point here. What I have been seeing on this trip is not men being leaders. It's not men stepping up to the plate. These are toxic men. These are men who do not have the skills, the spirit, the energy, the anything to be leading anyone. Business-wise, family-wise, relationship-wise. These were toxic versions of men. There are men out there who don't fall under this category. This story is bringing out those men, and unfortunately, if you ask me, it's the majority of the men. From my experience, the experiences of my girlfriends and the people around me, the majority of the men fit into this category of toxicity, who believe themselves leaders, who believe themselves to be worthy of being in higher places than women. When that third incident happened, I said to myself, well, now a pattern is emerging here. This pattern of the masculine stepping on the feminine. And because of the energy of Egypt, I wasn't just seeing and intellectualizing these experiences, I was feeling them viscerally. And that's when I know Spirit is trying to show me something, teach me something. When I not only see things, but I feel them on a different level as I see and experience them. These experiences were exacerbated for me to come to a place of understanding and pay attention. So 3 experiences. Now, one of the modalities of this retreat is that we have Kundalini activation sessions on the Nile River throughout various points of the trip. And by the way, if you don't know what Kundalini activation is, ask below. I might make a video about this. I offer Kundalini activation sessions. It's one of the modalities that I use to activate women. It's one of the modalities that I use to help women to tune into their spiritual gifts, their spiritual abilities, activate the other aspects of themselves. Because most women got the physical together, got the mental together, but they don't know how to activate their multi-dimensional self, the version of themselves that's in the spiritual realms that allows them to see, hear, and receive from those realms. Comment down below if you're interested in learning more about that. So I had one of my most impactful, powerful experiences in Egypt in one of those sessions, one of those Kundalini activation sessions while we were sailing down the Nile. And before I go into the experience, I want to point out that Kundalini activation sessions are super powerful. And I think the contact that I received in those sessions was able to happen because of the energy that's pouring through the body during those sessions. The energy that's pouring through the body during Kundalini sessions is so high frequency, such high vibrational energy that it closes the dimensional gap between you and spiritual beings. You're vibrating because Kundalini energy is cosmic energy flowing through your body. So when that energy is flowing through your body, you are one with all, including high dimensional spiritual beings. So in that space of that session, I was able to be contacted by very high vibrational goddesses. Now, started the session and I was going through the motions as usual, just opening up and allowing the energy to flow up and out of me, and that pillar of light that I always see flowing straight from the sky right down through me. And I was just enjoying that energy. And as that energy flows, my hands always start doing mudras because the energy pushes these mudras through your body. Oh, it's such a, see, my energy is so weird. As I'm talking about it, I'm feeling the energy. If I talk about something, I can connect to that energy. And as I'm talking, I can feel the energy flowing and my hands start doing the things. Anyway, in the session, flowing, flowing, flowing. All of a sudden, the energy got really strong, just through my body, through my body, through my body, through my body. And I felt my body go down. I don't remember what this pose is called in yoga, where you just kind of like bend over and you just hang. Somebody tell me the pose. That's bad. I don't claim to be a yogi. I do yoga, but I'm not some yogi. Anyway, you kind of just hang, and that, just looking back at what happened, because I didn't consciously think about these things during the session, it was a pose of surrender. I felt that energy flowing, and my body said, I will accept this connection and I will hear what's going on. And I felt myself going to that pose of surrender. And when I stood up, y'all, all I saw was this being standing in front of me, and I heard Kalima. So this is how my consciousness works. When things appear in front of me, it's like there's a name announced in my head, because she wasn't fully clear, because this was before the visit at the Temple of Isis. My vision was a bit fuzzy. I could feel strongly when things come into the room. I could hear very clear audio, but seeing was a bit hard. So I was there, my eyes closed. I was in like this dark room, and boom, this being appeared in front of me, and I heard Kalima. And y'all, her energy is so powerful. Before I even go into that, I want to say, I of course knew who Kalima was. Personally, I had no desire to connect with Kalima. I respect her energy, I respect what she stands for, but it just isn't my energy. It's just not what I am drawn to. So I had no prior desire to connect with Kalima. I had no prior intentions to connect with Kalima. I was simply in an energy session going along my business, and she appeared in front of me. And as she formed, the energy just went boom. Y'all, I have never felt so much rage in my life. There was rage pulsing through my body. She pushed rage and anger. I was so angry. She was so angry. She was pushing rage. And you know what the rage was? I heard her voice say, how dare they? How dare the masculine think that it could step on the head of the feminine? She was like, it's like pulses of rage, boom, boom, just emanating from her body. How dare the masculine step on the feminine? How dare they desecrate the sacred feminine energy of this planet? How dare they think that they are more worthy to be in high places than women? And when she said that, she flashed in front of my face priests in the churches, pastors in the churches, this idea that some of our organized religions have, that men should have the higher positions in church, or that men should have the higher positions in the mosques, that men should have the higher positions in the temples, that men are somehow more fitting, men are somehow a better vessel to speak with God, that men are somehow a better vessel to house the Spirit of God, to lead spiritually. She was raging. She said, how dare they? How dare they feel like they are above the feminine? The feminine is the vessel. The feminine is the ultimate vessel for spirit to flow on this planet. The feminine is the ultimate spiritual leader, spiritual authority on this planet. The feminine, not the masculine. She was so angry. She flashed through my mind all the women who are oppressed in the land. How dare men mistreat their women in relationships when we are the one that give them life? Literally and spiritually in relationships. How dare they disregard feminine wisdom? How dare they disregard feminine connection and divinity when we are the one that gives them life in relationships? The men literally feed off feminine energy in partnership. The men literally blossom. They become more. They have the energy to do more. All of a sudden, abundance is flowing to them when they're in secure relationships. Why? Because the men are feeding off the feminine energy. This is a partnership. It's supposed to be a partnership where the men do and the feminine provides that energy, provides that connection to source. The feminine is the provider of spiritual energy, flowing as a vessel, as a conduit, flowing the energy. And a man, because of her proximity to a woman, because of his connection to a woman in partnership, grows and blossoms from the sustenance that she gives, that she flows to him. How dare they? I have never felt, y'all, even now, I have never felt so much rage. And it's like she opened up my perception to all the women in that region that are suffering under the egos of toxic men. And she said, I am giving you a project. You are here to break this cycle. You are here to break this illusion that covers the earth, this illusion that men somehow are spiritual authorities. They are not. And I know some men aren't going to like that message, but let me say, that message doesn't mean that a man can't work in a spiritual position or doesn't have his own connection. That message is for women to understand their place in this earth, their place in this world, and it is not under the feet of men. It is not subjugated by men. It is understanding that as a woman, you have a certain feminine wisdom. you have a certain feminine authority that a man doesn't have. And it is when both you, the woman, accept and acknowledge that, and the man accepts and acknowledge that, and you both submit to the wisdom of each other, because men have wisdom and authority in certain areas and women have wisdom and authority in other areas. It is when we understand this delicate balance and we submit to the wisdom and authority of each other that we find balance being restored on this earth, because we are out of balance on this earth because the feminine and masculine poles are out of whack. These feminine and masculine poles hold up the space of reality on this planet. When they are out of balance, we have things manifesting that show us we are out of balance. We have wars and famine and hunger and poverty and all of these things. These are also manifestations of the imbalance of the energies on this planet. The polarities are not in balance. When we are not in balance, chaos ensues. And so this consciousness of toxic masculinity that has been ruling for years, hundreds of years, is coming to an end now, because women are rediscovering their wisdom and authority. And so as Kali raged through my energy, it reminded me of ayahuasca, where you can feel ayahuasca like running through your body. Kali raged through my energy. She pushed through my energy the understanding of how much authority and feminine. She pushed through my energy the understanding of the feminine authority and wisdom and the place that we hold. And she said to me, you have to play a part in helping women to remember their authority, remember their place. Remember that every woman is connected to that energy of the goddess. Every piece of feminine energy on the planet, your duty is to rise and activate yourself to the place of the goddess, to the place where wisdom, beauty, power, authority, everything just flows from you. This is the space that every woman should occupy, every woman should hold. And I'm hearing as well, and that you should not accept a partner in your life who does not acknowledge your wisdom and your authority as a divine feminine woman. Full stop. And all of the issues that are going on in the world with women not getting paid in the workplace for doing the same job or more, women not being seen as suitable to be pastors or priests, or all of these things that are happening in the world, in places like Afghanistan, where it's now illegal for women to speak in public. All of the stuff going on in the world, your best revolt, your best method of fighting back, because I know a lot of you feel like, what can I do? I'm just one person. How can I change these huge themes running through the world? What can I do? Your best way of fighting back is activating yourself, sitting in your own feminine wisdom and authority in your life, and not accepting less from anybody around you, especially in partnership. It doesn't matter how much money that man has. It doesn't matter how great of a man he is. If he does not respect you as a woman, if he does not respect your feminine wisdom and submit to the areas in life where you are the authority, do not accept that man in your life. You have to get to a place where you activate the goddess energy in you, and you are sitting as the goddess in your life, and you are emanating that energy in your life. And when you are emanating that energy in your life, the women around you are going to look at you and say, hey, What's she doing? What's going on over there? And through that curiosity, through their connection to you, and you're pouring that energy out of your being, they're going to be activated as well. They're going to start wondering what you're doing. Oh, she does her meditation. Oh, she journals. Oh, she goes to therapy. She's working on herself. And the more she's working on herself, the brighter her light is shining and things are flowing to her. She is flourishing. Not only is she flourishing abundantly, her skin is looking good. She's looking more attractive. She didn't even do no surgeries, yet she's looking so attractive. What's going on there? This is how you activate other women. This is how you sit in your feminine energy. This is how you activate goddess consciousness. This is how you allow that consciousness to flow through you. And y'all, I'm gonna put a little plug here before I continue the story because it ain't done yet. I channeled a book that started in Egypt called Feminine Magic, a woman's guide to accessing her multidimensional self that's going to change your life. Don't forget to get it. It's coming out October 14th. I'm putting the link below for the pre-order, or if you watch this after it's been launched, for you to purchase. It is a guide that will change your life because we've got to wake up. We've got to wake up. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. So anyway, Kali raged through me, y'all. And she flashed all the scenes before me of men mistreating women, of women being subjugated, of women being brainwashed after generations into thinking themselves as lowly as this toxic male consciousness has made us believe, or wants to make us believe, of women now not needing men to subjugate them, they're subjugating themselves. Yeah, I'm just the help. I'm just a wife. All I do is clean and cook, and I don't even think. My man does it all for me. And let me put a point here, because I know some clowns are going to be like, there's nothing wrong with cooking and cleaning for your family. Of course not. Of course there's nothing wrong with that. If you still think the conversation about toxic masculinity consciousness in this world is about cooking and cleaning, you're not equipped to be in this conversation. And I'm gonna move on from there. But she showed me how a lot of women don't need to be subjugated anymore because they're born into this world and conditioned to subjugate themselves, not see their own wisdom, not see their own authority, defer to a man on certain things. You get the point. Flash those scenarios before me, and all of a sudden, to my left, another being appeared out of nowhere. This one, I couldn't see her clearly, but her energy was strong. And again, the announcement was made, Durga. Now at the time, I did not know who Durga is, or I did not know who Durga was. I think, but at that time, I've maybe heard her name randomly, but I knew nothing about Durga, nothing at all. But as she appeared in front of me, she had a different energy from Kali for sure. Her energy was, Akil, it's time to activate the women. It's time to, like, I literally saw chains breaking. It's time to wake women up. It's time to activate women. It's time to help women to remember who they are. It's time to help women to remember their connection to wisdom, their connection to the divine, and the authority that they have as feminine energies on this planet. It's time to cut the subjugation. She was all about empowerment. While Kali was raging and wanting to burn shit down, Durga wanted to build things from the ashes. She wanted to liberate and build and strengthen. It felt like she wanted to put out a call to women to wake up. Almost like there's a frequency to be flowed that once it's flowing through the land, women everywhere will wake up. She had that type of energy. And that's when the mission was downloaded in my brain. And they weren't there just to appear and give me an experience. They were there to put a mission before me. And the mission was to rebalance the feminine energy on this planet. They showed me the whole earth. And it's like there are projectors projecting energy out of the earth at different points, especially the well-known sacred points. There's like energy projectors pushing up, pushing up. There's ones for masculine, there were ones for feminine. The ones for masculine energy, most of them were intact. And they were flowing energy very clearly, very strongly, pumping energy from the earth into the grid. The ones for feminine, most of them were destroyed. Most of them were destroyed. Most of them were cracked. Some of them were not pouring enough light. Some of them weren't pouring any light at all. She said, your mission and the mission of many other women who are alive right now is to rebalance that energy. Visit those sacred points and repair those energy projectors for the feminine. Repair them and pull that energy up from the earth into the grid above the earth, and restore the energy points, the feminine energy points all around the world. So I looked as they flashed these scenes before me for this project, and I said, this is way too big. This is way too big. And they said, don't worry, this is not for you to do alone. You will be a voice to activate, but this is for women to come together and do together. Women from all over. You're just the voice that will push that frequency out. Those who resonate will hear it, be activated, and come forward. So as you're listening to this, I'm about to start this goddess project. If you are a woman who understands energy, like me, you may travel to different parts, or even if you don't travel much and you understand energy, you know you need to be a part of this project. If you want to be a part of this project, comment down below. And I'll probably also put a link in the bio where you can sign up, like with your contact email address, because what I want to do is see how many powerful women I can connect with, and then see how we can go from there with activating these feminine projectors in the earth and repairing these feminine projectors in the earth. Because one, it's time. Two, it's time. And three, it's time. And if you're someone watching who doesn't really understand energy and you're not sure if you can help with this, yes, you can. That I don't know if I can do anything, that's still a part of that toxic male programming telling you you're not enough, you don't know enough, you don't have enough skills. This is innate wisdom. You have it. And so after Durga appeared and pushed that project to me, I ended that session in a position on the ground with my hands in a mudra that after I looked at it, it said it was a Kali Ma mudra. I didn't even know that. And I sat with this project and I sat with this energy, and ever since, y'all, I swear to you, I cannot sit in masculine energy for too long. I cannot sit in imbalanced masculine energy for too long. Very few men that it's okay, like my energy is fine, but since then, the energy of most men repulse me. I just don't want to be in your energy. Once you're working on yourself, once you're working through your things, my energy is fine. But once you sit in my field and you have an imbalance that you're sitting with, and you have a toxic way of thinking, even if you're not projecting it physically, my energy feels it and is like, nah, we need to get out of here. This guy's energy is off. So it's crazy how much Egypt has changed me. It's crazy how much Egypt has transformed my energy. The other thing is, Egypt was the thing that revealed my mission here, my purpose here. I have been looking for that for quite some time, fumbling around in the dark. Oh, maybe it's this. Oh, maybe it's this. I'll try this. I couldn't quite get it. The trip to Egypt was like, girl, here it is. You're here to activate women. You're here to remind women of their wisdom and their power. You're here to reconnect them to their divine authority. You're here to open them up, activate their energy, ascend their energy until they're at goddess consciousness, where the energy is flowing, where the beauty is flowing, where their wisdom is flowing effortless, where they're connected to the truth of who they are. Let me know what came through for you as you listened to this video. Let me know what you were feeling in your body. Let me know if you channel what was coming to you, if you're in tune with your intuition and your spirit guides, what was being said to you as you listen to this video, because I know the women who this is supposed to reach, you're gonna be hearing a lot of chatter.